Caitlyn seemed to be a perfect fit for the brand. $28 million at the time, while some people, including myself, were saying that this might be a little bit too low. At the start of this year's WNBA season, it was announced that Caitlyn Clark signed a massive endorsement deal with Nike. This deal was for 8 years, $28 million with a signature sneaker included. Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlyn Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her? We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlyn Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlyn Clark signature shoes.
So here's the latest. You're Caitlyn Clark, the hottest name in women's basketball. Nike's ignored you for months. Then boom, Adidas offers you $6 million you're about to sign, but wait, Nike swoops in with $28 million. What do? That's exactly what happened to Clark. Nike went from cold shoulder to red carpet in a heartbeat. But why the sudden change? And what does this mean for women's sports? Let's talk about how Clark just changed the game for every female athlete out there. Remember about a year ago, Nike wasn't even thinking about Caitlyn Clark. This basketball phenom was lighting up the court in college, breaking records left and right, and Nike, they were sleeping on her. No ads, no merch, nothing. Clark's on the court, draining threes like they're layups, racking up assists like it's nothing. She's breaking scoring records that have stood for decades. The crowd's going wild, but in some fancy Nike boardroom, executives are yawning. It's like they had earplugs in, missing all the buzz around this incredible talent. But why? Why do big brands often overlook women's sports stars? It's not like Clark was hiding her light under a bushel. She was the talk of college basketball, leading her team to the national championship game. Yet somehow Nike missed the memo. Maybe it's because they're stuck in old ways of thinking. For years, women's sports have been seen as less marketable, less exciting. But anyone who's watched Clark play knows that's just not true. She's got the skills, the charisma, and the fan base that should have had Nike salivating from day one. Or maybe they thought they could wait. After all, where else was she going to go? Nike's been the big dog in basketball for so long, maybe they figured they could take their sweet time. But that's the thing about rising stars. If you snooze, you lose. So what made Nike finally wake up? Was it the roar of the crowd every time Clark stepped on the court? The constant chatter on social media about her incredible plays? Or maybe it was the whispers that other brands were starting to circle? Whatever it was, Nike suddenly realized they were about to lose the hottest name in basketball. They were on the verge of missing out on not just a great player, but a cultural phenomenon. Clark wasn't just changing the game on the court, she was changing how people saw women's basketball altogether. And that's when Nike went from 0 to 60. They realized Clark wasn't just another college player, she was the future of basketball. Men's, women's didn't matter, as Clark was the kind of talent that comes along once in a generation, and Nike almost missed their shot. Just as Nike woke up to Clark's potential, so did their biggest rivals. Imagine being Caitlyn Clark, going from overlooked to having the biggest names in sports knocking down your door. The offers that followed would turn the sneaker world upside down. Adidas came in hot, throwing down a $6 million offer for a 4-year deal. That's not chump change, but it was just the opening salvo. Under Armour decided to up the ante, pushing their chips to the center of the table with a whopping $16 million offer over 4 years. And get this, they weren't just offering cash. They wanted Clark to be the face of the Curry brand, with Stephen Curry himself making the pitch. That's like having Michael Jordan call you up back in the day. So why was everyone suddenly so thirsty for Clark?
Under Armour offered her 4 years for $16 million, which by a year-by-year basis, she would actually be making more per year if she had signed with Under Armour.
It's simple. She's not only a great player, she's a cultural phenomenon. Her record-breaking performances in college basketball has everyone talking. She's got skills that make your head spin, a personality that lights up the room, and a fan base that's growing faster than you can say three-pointer. In short, Clark's the total package. The bidding war was heating up faster than a summer blacktop. Adidas thought they had a shot with their initial offer, but Under Armour came in and blew that out of the water. You could almost hear the sneaker execs sweating. How high would these offers go? Would someone else jump into the fray? And that's when Nike decided to show everyone why they're the big dogs in basketball. They didn't just match the other offers, they demolished them. Nike swooped in with a mind-blowing $28 million deal. That's not just a game changer, it's a whole new ballgame. They went from sleeping on Clark to making her one of the highest paid athletes in women's sports overnight. This deal isn't just about cold hard cash. Sure, $28 million is enough to make anyone's eyes pop, but Nike's offer came with something that could be even more valuable in the long run. They're not just slapping Clark's name on some existing shoes. They're giving her something that only a handful of athletes ever get. Her own signature shoe line. Nike's not just giving Clark a shoe, they're handing her a legacy. So how long will fans have to wait to lace up a pair of Clarks? The answer might shock you, and it reveals a whole new side of the sneaker game. You heard that right. Caitlin Clark's getting her own signature shoe line. That's not just a new pair of kicks, it's a whole new level of stardom. We're talking about joining the ranks of legends like Michael Jordan and LeBron James. It's the kind of deal that turns great players into icons. But hold up, because there's a catch that'll make your head spin. We might not see these shoes hit the shelves until 2027. Yeah, you read that right, 2027. That's like waiting for the next Olympics. So what's the deal? Why does it take so long to get from idea to actual shoes on your feet? Let me break it down for you. Creating a signature shoe isn't just slapping a name on some existing design. It's a whole process that starts with Clark sitting down with Nike's top designers. They'll talk about her style of play, her personality, what she wants the shoe to represent. Then comes the fun part, sketching out designs, picking materials, choosing colors. It's like building a house, but for your feet.
Push Caitlin's 2 seasons. They're saying now that we might not get a signature shoe from Caitlin until 2026 or 2027. Craziest momentum that we have ever seen with any athlete in the history of ever.
For her to be, and should have been, the unanimous Rookie of the Year.
And it wasn't just one triple-double, she had 2 on the season.
And this is why we would love for the WNBA to make voting.
She could be the face of the women's line on the Steph Curry side because her and Steph's game is so similar. It seemed to be like a fantastic deal. I believe that Caitlin Clark, if they would have released a signature shoe for her this season, they would have made a killing.
Once they got a design, that's when things really get complicated. They've got to make prototypes, test them out, make sure they're perfect for Clark's game. And we're not talking about making just one shoe. They've got to create a whole line of different styles and sizes. It's like setting up a mini shoe factory just for Clark. While all this is happening, Nike's marketing team is working overtime. They're figuring out how to launch these shoes in a way that'll make everyone want a pair. They're planning ad campaigns, thinking about which stores will carry them, maybe even lining up other athletes to help promote them. So, what could Clark's shoes look like? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Maybe they'll have some nod to her record-breaking three-pointers, or perhaps they'll incorporate something from her Iowa Hawkeyes days. One thing's for sure, they're gonna be designed to help players move like Clark on the court. When these shoes finally drop, Clark will be joining a super exclusive club. She'll be one of only 14 women ever to have their own signature shoe line. That's not just a new product, it's a statement about the future of women's sports.
All of a sudden, we gonna see Asia Wilson. She may get some more shine because she's that girl. Diana Taurasi gonna get more shine because we know what she brings to the table. Ionescu, she's gonna get more shine. Others, black, white, everything in between.
Has contract with Caitlin Clark. It's a 8-year contract. No shoes. No shoes.
Caitlin Clark's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year.
14 women with signature shoes sounds impressive, right? Clark's deal isn't just about sneakers. It's sparking a revolution in how we value women's sports. And the ripple effects? They're gonna hit harder than one of Clark's three-pointers. Let's break down just how big this deal really is. Clark's $28 million contract isn't just a payday, it's a statement. Compare that to what other athletes are pulling in, and you start to see why this is such a big deal. Some top male basketball players are raking in hundreds of millions for their shoe deals. Now, $28 million might seem small next to that, but for women's sports, it's groundbreaking. This gap between men's and women's endorsements has been around forever. It's like there's been this unwritten rule that women's sports just don't sell as well. But Clark's deal, it's shattering that myth into a million pieces. Think about the message this sends to every girl lacing up her sneakers for a game. Suddenly the dream of making it big in women's sports doesn't seem so far-fetched. Nike's saying, hey, we believe in you, we believe in women's sports. And that belief, it's worth its weight in gold. And it's not just about Clark. This deal could change the game for every female athlete out there. Imagine other brands watching this and thinking, wait a minute, we're missing out on a gold mine here. Suddenly, women's sports aren't just an afterthought, they're a major marketing opportunity. What if Clark's success opens the floodgates? We could see more investment in women's leagues, better coverage of women's games, maybe even more primetime slots for women's tournaments. Clark just kicked down the door, and now a whole generation of female athletes can follow her through. For women's basketball specifically, this could be the start of something huge. More eyes on the game means more fans, more ticket sales, more merchandise flying off the shelves. It's a cycle that feeds itself, and Clark's at the center of it all. So here's the deal. Caitlin Clark's Nike contract isn't just about fancy sneakers. It's a game changer for women's sports, period. We're talking about respect, recognition, and cold hard cash finally flowing into female athletics. This could be the domino that tips everything over. Suddenly, brands are waking up to the fact that women athletes are marketable superstars. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The real question is, will Clark's success open doors for other women in sports? Or is this just a one-time thing? Only time will tell, but I've got a feeling we're watching history in the making. Clark might just be the spark that lights up a whole new era for women in sports. Get ready, folks. Things are about to get interesting. Very interesting. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment on what you think about it all. And here's another video on the Caitlin Clark Nike saga. Now let's go.